Hey everyone, it's Kenlyn and welcome back to my channel for the week of October 20th. We have a very big week as we had last week and as we'll have next week and the week after. We're just in really, really big times. Today I'm calling this week the Astrology of Anti-fragility, and I'll explain a little more as we talk about Pluto and a T-square that's happening on the 22nd of October. Before I get there, I want to do a shout out to a friend of mine who's turning 98 today on October 20th. And she is an example of aging in such a beautiful way. She's actually an example of anti-fragility. She is a person who served as a state senator in Colorado, and she got female genital mutilation to be a crime in the state of Colorado. It took her 4 years. Each year she tried and it was no until the fourth try. So she's got grit, she's got stamina. When I go visit her, she's drinking a cappuccino. She's living full out. I invited her to a birthday party one year, not too long ago, and she said, I can't, I'm in Chile. And I was like, rock on. That's exactly what I want to hear. So she's been my shining example of aging and just doing it with such joy. And her background is that during the Depression, she was given up by her parents to live in an orphanage because they couldn't afford to feed her. So she's really lived the principle of anti-fragility. And I just honor people like that who show us the way through big, generous hearts, lots of friends, and a joyful take on life. So let's beam her love, and may the goddess bless her for as long as she wants to be on this planet, and she will continue to shine her light. That's a good segue into what's happening this week, 22nd of October. We're going to see the sun move into Scorpio. But before it does, it's going to hit 29-degree point, the final degree point of Libra. And that, if you've been watching these transmissions, is squaring that 29 degrees of Capricorn, Pluto in Capricorn. So we already have this square going on, the sun and Pluto. The sun is our purpose. Pluto is the Lord of death and rebirth, bringing up, dredging up even more lies, even secrets, anything that you need to see to step more fully into your radiant self, your purpose, your dharma. And then we have Mars at 25 degrees of Cancer. So here we have the three cardinal signs. Aries has left the picture with the full moon. So that's how we had that cardinal grand cross. And now we have this cardinal T-square. So we're still in the energy of forcing change, of oppositions, of squares. And that's part of this concept of anti-fragility. And I want to share that with you. If you haven't read the book, maybe these cliff notes will be good enough, but to give you the concept of all these planets like Pluto, like Uranus, like Saturn, Mars, when they are with each other and intense and even volatile, how it can support you to grow. And we have an archetype that Nassim Taleb, the author of Anti-Fragility, brings out in his book. And I love it because it's kind of a different take on this archetype. Let's start with a prologue. Some things benefit from shocks. They thrive and grow when exposed to volatility, randomness, and disorder. Isn't that interesting? Because we try to craft our lives against that. And, we don't have very much luck because randomness is randomness. So there are things that thrive with volatility, randomness, disorder, and stressors. And it also loves adventure, risk, and uncertainty. So that's cool. Let's channel in the part of ourselves that loves adventure, risk, and certainty. There is a part, even if it's a small part. So he says that in spite of the fact that this is everywhere, because it's seen in nature, like let's say a forest fire, not a man-made one, but a forest fire, that restores and regenerates the forest. He says that basically there's no word for the opposite of fragile. And fragile is when one little thing can really take us down. And so he calls it anti-fragile. And he said that anti-fragile is not resilience. because resilience stays the same. So you weather a shock, but you stay the same. Now, this is his construct. Even if you don't think it's that and you think it's different, that's okay. This is just what he's saying to distinguish and draw out the principle of anti-fragility. So it's not about staying the same. And this is the point of it. And this is the point of like Saturn, Uranus, Pluto, Mars. The point of it is not to just hold on for dear life and survive it. No, it's to thrive. It's to actually step deeply into your purpose. And I think that if you look back to what happened from 2008 until now, you can create the story of you thriving. We did that today inside the sisterhood activation, inside the membership. We told the story of our death and rebirth from that period of time. And wow, the stuff that people have been through, that it's plutonic. It takes you down to your knees. It makes you sob. It's the dark night of the soul. You have to muster deep within you. Like, what do you really believe? One woman shared, like, she was faced with the near death of two family members. And there was something that welled up within her where she took her power because something said, no, you have the power and you have a say, and she took it. Chances are you can look at your own life like that, even if you've been knocked down. Rewrite the story as you are the heroine of your story. So in the construct of anti-fragility, one way he says it is that you gain more upside than downside by those shocks and changes. For example, an egg. An egg cannot survive with a 5-pound weight on it, but our bones get stronger with 5-pound weights. And we know that at midlife, we definitely know that. So anti-fragility really means more upside than downside, more to gain than to lose. And one of the principles of anti-fragility is this ability to regenerate after it happens. So let me go into the archetypes. One archetype is a fragile archetype. I think it's, let me look at what character that is in Greek mythology. It's Damocles. So Damocles had a sword hanging over his head by a string. Who wants a sword hanging over your head by a string? I don't. The slightest thing, the wear of the string, and boom, you're a goner. So that's fragility. The second one, he says that the phoenix rising is resilient because in his construct, the phoenix rising burns up in the ashes and then rebirths itself as the same. We in the Evolving Sisters Network do not believe that because we are evolving. So we believe that the version who rebirths a higher level of self, just like a caterpillar going into that cocoon rebirths itself as a new entity, the butterfly. And then the third example, and I love this example because he pretty much turns Greek mythology on its head by saying who the real hero is. In the story of Hercules and the battle with the Hydra, remember the Hydra, that water snake or naga, and his job was to kill the water snake. And every time he cut her head off, 2 or 3 grew back. And so he says that's anti-fragility. And I love that. So we get to be like Hydra and we get to be unstoppable. And it's not even something that we consciously do. But if we tell ourselves that that's what will happen with uncertainty, with shocks, unexpected events, maybe maximum stressors, then we've already baked into ourselves, in our consciousness, this idea that I am actually going to be stronger. It's going to function for me like weights. And my body will be stronger. Because why? Because I will know who I really am. Those attachments that I have will be severed. That's really what Mars in Cancer is doing, severing a lot of attachments. And that's rough. People die, people leave, we leave situations. We're heartful people, and those things are hard. And yet, for our evolution, and particularly for the evolution around power, the places where we have given away our power to religion, to teachers, to systems, to money, to the way you make your money, as if your source is those things, it will cut those things so that you can reclaim the true source of your existence, the true nature of your power. And I think that's what's happening. And I'm going to end with that metaphor that I started with around the caterpillar and the butterfly. We're going into this chrysalis. We are in this chrysalis. That's this liminal state that we're in between the old world, the old version of us, and the new. The new is not here yet, but we have inklings, right? We've turned to ooze. So we're in the cocoon. We've turned to ooze, but the imaginal cells are starting to pop. That's where we're at. We're not a fully formed butterfly yet, but we're popping. And you can feel where the newness wants to take you. And now who you are, you can feel, gosh, I'm not that other person. I'm now this. Wow, that's scary, actually. I just want to name that. We went through an exercise today and it was really beautiful. And I asked someone, how do you feel? And she's like, I'm totally terrified. And it's like, exactly. Because we have a self-reflective consciousness. I don't know if a butterfly does. Can you imagine flying out of the cocoon going, holy shit, I came in as something that slithered and now I'm flying. Wait, what? So we never really think of it as such a disorienting process. But when you have a self-reflected consciousness, it's such a disorienting process. So give yourself some slack. We're in the middle of that. We don't have all the answers. We're not in the new. We haven't become the new person yet. That happens, that's happening incrementally. We got a taste of it in the beginning of 2024 with Pluto going into Aquarius for a few months. And then we have Pluto hitting 0 degrees Aquarius on November 19th. But really, there's so much more to the orchestra, right? That's just one note that's starting right then. And then we're going to have additions when these planets move signs and they move into air and they move into fire. That's going to be, absolute game changer. Check out my videos that I just laid down last week about these game changers, Jupiter, and also the Pluto and Neptune game changer. So I'll do more on this later because it's worth kind of understanding the energy signature of 2025. And these moments are preparing us to be that person. Really, what I'm thinking is to venture into a world where we're super disoriented, where we are the butterfly and we were like, holy shit, I was just that caterpillar. That like how do you even fly? Like, what are the rules of this game? And now your point of view, just to keep the metaphor going, is not slithering on a branch, it's flying over here. Like we're going to have to relearn who we are inside of this new world. So just to make it crystal clear that we should be disoriented, it's okay to be totally scared, but let's know in our bones that we're going to be like Hydra, 2 or 3 times the strength as when we entered this. And we're playing the long game. That's what we're here on Earth, to really suck the marrow out of life and play the long game as long as we're here, and ultimately to be like my friend Dorothy. When you turn 98, you just have so much gratitude and fascination for this game. And you're also ready to play whatever the universe wants to serve up to you as the next game. So I hope that serves through this week, and I'll catch you on the next video.